thank you all once more for coming and filling this up with life. All right, and especially to those of you who actually share. So there's many ways to share. You can speak directly into the microphone or use the chat function here. You can all see the chat. We have this free talking part, and then every day we do an energy alignment. So today I want to point your attention to the practicality of being this spiritual self in a 3D world. Most of the energies that are coming in for next year and the years to come, many people, including myself, talk about this new era starting, a big shift, big reset. You've heard it, right? Like anywhere, really. And what does this actually mean? All right, so it has to do with this spirit of the time changing. And I think it's obvious now. At the beginning of last year, when I did the forecast and I talked about this is going to be the year, it was kind of like, yeah, okay. But through COVID and all the other things that came with it, all of a sudden it's kind of obvious to all of us. But no matter how we think, what our awareness is, we talked about this on the second day, or how we feel, we talked about that yesterday, there still is this pragmatism, all right? We still have to contend with 3D, with all these needs that we have, and other people's needs, and, paying bills. And this is really where it shows. So on this 4th day of 12 days of Sacred Self, I want to invite you to contemplate about how you handle all of this, how your virtues are actually showing in your daily lives, the congruence also with which you show up. Does what you do reflect how you spiritually think, how you spiritually feel? How congruent are you in your life? And what are these virtues that you display? Are you a free person where you feel like in control of your energy, or are you an unfree person where you feel at the subject of outer influences, outer energies? We talked a little bit about that yesterday. All right, we're still, dealing with these holy nights, which I'm going to talk a little bit later, but needing to go back to work for many of you, needing to show up in our 3D lives. How does that work for you? Do you feel split there? Are you like this person during the day and then this person when you come back home? Or have you been able to manifest a life where these things are pretty in balance? We all need to make compromises, that's obvious. Some of us have families, children, and responsibilities for other people. Some of us have businesses, responsibilities for business. In your own assessment, just contemplating about this without, judging yourself. How well do you think, or how challenging, either way you look at it, is this really embodying how you think and feel through your doing, through your virtues. And again, I'm not coming in from a judgmental standpoint here. I'm coming in from this self-awareness and honest, truthful self-inquiry. How well does this work for you? I would like to share. So let me break the ice here, okay? I'm a mom, and I often share these little stories, these hands-on, ugly, dirty stories from everyday life as a mom. Now, you don't have to be a mom to have those kind of stories, but it's easy for me because they play out every day, like literally all day long. All right, so here I am, this spiritual person, right? And 5 minutes later, I'm going to yell at my kids for leaving their stuff on the floor or whatever, right? You guys get the gist. How do I get this together? Or how does this work for you? You know, how do you get these two parts together? Does being spiritual mean that you are just like sort of all day and that nothing bothers you and that you're totally okay with everybody just doing their thing? Is that what being spiritual means?
I don't live in a really busy environment because my children are long left. So I spend a lot of time with just me and Bob. It minimizes that which you speak of, but the mind can do it with or without other people present. It can be unspiritual if that's the anti-red socks movement, we'll call it. And it can do all of that stuff even if there isn't a stimulus around. It can do it with whatever's left in here to circle around the mouse wheel for a while. So and the trick is to catch it, and before it takes off running down the road like a team of wild horses, to just go, whoa, I don't want you to get any traction here. But yeah, I totally get it.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this right, Cheryl, but I think I'm hearing you say that there is this mental part in you or cognitive part in you that kind of judges you based on, whether this expresses.
Yeah, what I'm saying, instead of yelling at my kids in 3D, I could be picking a fight in my head with anything. And there doesn't even need to be a stimulus around to do it. So, and then the train can take off down the track with whatever judgment. So I need to pay attention to what I'm thinking, or what I allow.
What is your inner guidance telling you? What would be more spiritual?
Put your red socks on and light your candle. I don't know. No, the inner guidance just says you need. I just need to pay attention to what I allow in this space. This thing that takes off. It doesn't even need a stimulus sometimes.
So what you're saying is it's not even necessarily something that comes in from the outside. It's also the inside. Yeah. There's an inside space that you need to protect or keep
part
clean.
Of me thinks it. Yeah, keep clean. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, so it can express in many different ways. What are other examples? Siri here is sharing spirituality is a process that is how we grow together with people around. Without them, it's just a theory. What a joy to think more and more with the heart. Yeah, it has a lot to do with how we relate with our direct environment. The people were designed to interact with people. In fact, as an energy healer, I can vouch for this. You are constantly interacting with other people energetically, if you're aware of it or not. So we're designed to do that. And also the world, the collective. So we can't help it. It's actually part of our energetic sensitivity And the more energetically sensitive and trained we are, the better we get at discerning all of this. But our energetic sensitivity that is innate to all of us is what informs us about that interaction. And it can be, like you just said, Cheryl, in a mental way, through the mindsets, the beliefs, and the inner communication, the self-talk that we have. It can, of course, that be the obvious, through the outer talk, like how we speak to other people, how we act, or how we feel about things. What is your energetic sensitivity informing you about on any of these levels, like what you feel, what other people feel, or what the whole entire collective feels? What are some of the things that you pick up on?
For me, it's if somebody's being authentic. I can also pick up on people's emotions, where they're at. It depends sometimes where I'm at too. So it helps me know how to relate in certain situations. But also for me, especially the last few years, spirituality has turned more into being authentic, like living real within myself and therefore out there as well. Because for a long time, I believed spirituality was just about being kind all the time. And
thank you for saying this out loud. A lot of people think that, Joe. A lot of people think that spirituality is all about being really good copers, sucking things up really well without complaining. Yeah. And some people think that spirituality is like the ticket to superiority or power or aloofness. But I like how you just figured this out. That for you in the last years, spirituality has become more practical. It has become more about authenticity. And this is really what this day 4 contemplation is about. First, of course, we have to examine the mindset that is there. And if there are programs going on in our mindset that make it difficult for us to see different perspectives, that make us righteous or rigid, or just sort of put us into a corner, like as in how we think things are supposed to be. And then we have to examine our feelings, our emotions. You just talked about this. Did I hear you say, Cheryl, that by relating to other people's emotions, you are also relating to your own emotions? Is that kind of like, I heard this in between the lines, okay? It's like this empathy to walk in somebody else's shoes. It's one of these things that can actually add a different perspective. So it augments our reality in that way, right? Because on one hand, we have these beliefs, some of which are conditioned, some of which are collective, some of which we've adopted as like sort of what works best for us. And then we have our emotions, and then we have the emotions of other people, and that's adding another dimension to how we experience the world and other people. I like how Siri said it, what a joy to think more with the heart. So if we just think with the brain, we're literally missing out on another dimension of interacting with other people. I mean, our energies are interacting anyway. But the consciousness is what makes the difference. Because whenever we change perspectives, our perception changes. So whenever we change our perception, our consciousness also changes. And it's like a circle, so it comes back to us. There's a feedback loop. So we become more aware and we're like, oh, okay, I guess you could look at it this way or that way. So we're all trained to do this in school. But the part that's been missing is, to put our emotions, our feelings, and our energetic sensitivity into this equation, to think, feel, and to come to a place of discernment out of our own authenticity that informs us if something is true to us or not. And this can relate to other people. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about when you look at other people. And it's hard to identify what it is. It's not just the outer appearance, and it's not just what they say. Authenticity is something that we can only feel deep within. Do you guys know what I mean? I mean, there obviously are trainings. The internet is full of this, how to learn how to speak, how to use your hands, how to use your voice when you speak to be more convincing. But the convincing part just happens on that mental level. The feeling part is something that cannot be faked. That only works when it's authentic. And this goes both ways. We can talk about spirituality all day long. We can know a lot about spirituality. And I can talk about spiritual hierarchies. And those of you who love spiritual learning, get really excited, but it won't have a meaning because it's not felt. My approach here, with everything that I do at transCODES and in experience, the inner experience, is to have you feel it first, or visualize, use all your different senses, including your energetic sense, to internalize this, what it means, and then to reflect about it again with this augmented perspective or higher perception, as we call this. So my hint here at the difference between holy days and holy nights. Okay, so I pointed out that Christianity, the religion of Christianity, and there's nothing wrong with this, so I'm not distancing myself from it, but I'm an investigator, all right? So for me, it's really important to differentiate things without having an opinion about it. All right, so the holy days, say Christmas, and the other religions have holy days around this time of the year as well. They are defined through the content that these religions is giving them. But the context, and this is the greater perspective, the higher perception that we can gain through this awareness making, through really going into this think, feel, being that we are, is that we recognize that, the overall, say, background or backdrop to all of this is the end of something old. All right, so the end of the year days, most start counting with the winter solstice. I think a lot of astrologers would agree with me that the actual beginning of the new year is around the winter solstice, so that's like the 21st of December. Because this is when this veil between these different realms, these different dimensions, becomes more permeable. And this is when we feel the new energies coming in. So it has been tradition in many of our cultures to celebrate these last days, these last transitions of the year, as something in German they call this Rauhnächte. It's the transitions between the days, and that's why we have 13 days and 12 nights, 12 transitions, which then through our societies have been turned into 12 days of Christmas, or 12 days of this, or 12 days of that. All right? And I want you to understand the bigger context here. What is happening in this time right now is that we get a peek into this new energy that is coming in. And every transition represents not just a different realm, a different spiritual hierarchy, as I called it, but also a month, the energy of a month that comes in for the next year. So where I come from, we celebrate these holy nights, day or night by night, and using them for our vision into the next year. So the first night, which is the night between the 24th and the 25th, represents the energy that comes in January. And then the second night, from the 25th to the 26th, represents, and so forth. You get the gist. All right. On this fourth night, this fourth, I call it day. This is a bit confusing, but it's because, we all have different time zones. So we just look at it roughly as a 24-hour period. Is the April energy that we are feeling. And not only that, we're also feeling this whole sort of shift in energy that is coming in through these New Year's energies already. And I want you to understand that this particular one today, on the fourth day of Sacred Self, the fourth transition, the secret of the fourth holy night is the embodiment, is how we express in this world. And this will be way showing for the next 3 years. The spirit of time, the epoch spirit, if you will. It is a new era, and it represents in a certain, or comes out in a certain energy, and that is an embodiment energy for these next, it's more than just 3 years, but it will be extremely prevalent here in these next 3 years. So this is also why you can make forecasts, because if I see this in context with what I'm going to do here publicly tomorrow, go through the months next year and make a forecast about what we're going to have to deal with. I want you to pay attention to April energies, because they are very, well, this is where it's going to happen, okay? So if you judge it, you can say it's going to get rough there, because it will really call us on our congruence, on our authenticity, on our virtues. So what we were experiencing right now from this higher perception point of view, from this energetic perspective, is an initiation into a new era. This is what these days, these nights are all about. This is why the awareness making right now is so important. Forget about the months. That was just a little sort of goodie for you, because you can really use this for your own inner vision to get a preview of next week, next year. But the main thing is to understand that the more conscious we are, the more conscious choices we do, the more effective our own authenticity and how we can show up and how our manifestations turn out for us. Everything is a consequence of our own attitude, our own intention, as we talked about yesterday, our own energy. And when we're asleep, it just so happens to us. All right, then, outer influences can take over, and we're basically just sort of, swept away by the ocean. But the power of our consciousness allows us to hold our own boat, to maneuver, to navigate for ourselves. And the more conscious and the more authentic we become in the process, the easier it will become for us to steer through all these outer influences. In other words, the more protected we are. So this fourth day is also dedicated to what they call in spiritual science the archai. That's a higher level above the archangels. We mentioned archetypes yesterday a little bit. They are the epoch spirits, so to speak. They are not directly related to us in our human form, but more sort of the spirit of time. In German, they have a word for this. It's called Zeitgeist. Some of you might know the movie you pronounce it Zeitgeist. But that's a spiritual hierarchy. It's sort of the era. And this is what I wanted to point your attention to today and dedicate the energy alignment to. The initiation into a new era, the era of spiritual embodiment and authenticity. So lean back. I'm going to play the energy alignment that was created here in conjunction with me working with January energies. You can download this on YouTube or on SoundCloud. It's called Initiation, the Soul Self Alignment for January. And it's a little longer, so we're going to go over time today. I hope that's all right. Initiation. To love, truth, and peace within me, I dedicate myself. I am ready to be one with my true self, the part in me that is unchanging, eternal, and infinite. I embrace change as the evolutionary path of my being and trust in my true self to guide me to unfold my highest expression and purpose in life. By being aware of the conscious soul self I am, I choose to follow the impulse for freedom and deep healing so that I can neutralize all external influences that do not serve my highest good. I can feel and sense that I have all I need to be my higher self in me already. Yes, I am ready. With this awareness, I can accept all limitations as learning experiences, no matter how big the challenge, and feel nothing but gratitude for any opportunity to heal and express my soul purpose. I am willing to embrace my responsibility as co-creator of my reality, past, present, and future. All is perfect the way it is. For me to fully feel this, I choose to let go of believing I need something from the outside to fully express my authentic self. I choose to let go of the illusions of lack, or that I am not enough, conscious or unconscious, and all dependencies that are holding me back from feeling the right to be myself. I can do this. I dedicate my energy only to what clears and heals me, and what reminds me of my true being, while being open for new perspectives and solutions that are in alignment with my purpose, even if my mind doesn't know what this is yet. I am aware of the importance of making this a conscious choice, as I understand that only I have the authority to choose who I want to experience this life as. Yes, I am ready. Through the power in my heart, I herewith clear all attachments, limitations, conditioning, mind control, energetic ties and karmic binds in any dimension or time to any person, entity, or ego illusion. Nothing and no one has the right to violate my integrity or authenticity. I trust in my ability to sense anything or anyone compromising my trust in my true self, including choices in my past that did not yet express my highest potential. From here on, I devote my energy only to conscious choices, recognizing the higher power expressing through me, now and at all times. I love the freedom of who I am. I love the truth of who I am. I love who I am. True self. Thank you once more for my energetic sensitivity that shows me when I need to stand my ground and when I need to let go. For for my critical thinking and insight, for it shows me when I need to self-correct and when I need to shift, for the love and compassion in my heart as it reminds me of the sacredness of my reignited light, expressing as the courage and motivation to do what is needed to finally be a free me. Now, I can rest in my heart, as all there is left to do is to live and create my life in the light of love and truth. Thank you. Yeah, those were a lot of words. Because when it comes to authenticity, it has a lot to do with intent. It has a lot to do with us being fully aware of what we put out into this world. And Sheila is sharing here that this is the part where it gets difficult for her. I'm reading this from the chat. I keep trying to work on it. I can't seem to find the words, but the relation between feeling outside collective feelings and energies, others that are in my immediate surroundings, and feeling my own inner stuff. And then discerning the chatter. All this really means, Sheila, is that you just simply don't know yet who the authentic, true self is in you. But this takes a long time. This is really what I mean with this new era, okay? This is for all of us. The biggest challenge, especially those of us who are a little older, because there were so many confusions and transfigurations of spirituality that we had to go through until now. Spirituality is becoming freer now. And so we don't need to be in a certain way to be spiritual. We don't need to wear red socks or carry a candle around. Okay, we can recognize the sacred self within ourselves and know what it all entails. Yeah, Annette, thank you for commenting. When you actually do this alignment, any alignment really, any 5 minutes that you take in honest self-inquiry and contemplation will lead you to this sacred self of yours, the authenticity that you temporarily forgot. It becomes so much clearer. So this inner chatter or the problem with not being able to discern simply just comes from, not even knowing ourselves. So the more you know yourself, the more aware you are of your own energies, the easier it is to discern what's not yours. That's typically the first thing we notice. Okay, that's not mine. I'm not feeling that way. Where does this thought come from? This is not what I want to think about right now. And even if you sort of unconsciously caught yourself thinking that, something that Cheryl mentioned in the beginning, well, you can stop it. You can say, I don't want to think about these kind of things. I don't want to have these nasty thoughts. Or I don't want to be that cold or righteous or whatever it is that you are hearing there. That's not me. So the trick is not trying to be in any way, but authentic. That's all it takes. So you can ask yourself, if you're not sure, what this feeling, thought, action, word, or even fantasy. I think Cheryl mentioned this in the beginning. She said about, I can easily go there in my head. What this expresses. Is it free? Does it come out of your chosen volition? Are you choosing to think or feel or say this right now? Or is this coming from some kind of autopilot in you? That's all it takes. You don't have to know the fix. Because fix is always based on you judging that it's not right. But it's the most important thing for all of us to know whether a thought or a feeling or an opinion or an action or an emotion is yours or not. So in the beginning of awakening to our sacred self, we go through this long period. It can take years and decades to get to that place. But for most of us, and this is something we scratched the surface on in the beginning, it has to do with how we relate to other people and how we think we need to be or respond to them. That's where we get in trouble. That's where our codependencies play out, where we catch ourselves reacting in a way that is really not healthy or congruent to how we're truly feeling, just because we kind of think we have to be that way. And the training or this transition is to inquire about this with yourself. Do I truly feel that way? Is this really expressing authentically what I feel about this or what I want? And so many of us get caught in relationships that I don't know what we were thinking. At some point it represented what we wanted, but somehow we end up in this place where we either become this robot or where we become so, withholding, due to our disappointments or whatever, or our unmet needs, that we become cold inside, and where we think that, well, we just, I guess we're screwed now. We just gotta live with it. That's the opposite of authenticity. Authenticity is to say, okay, maybe I screwed up a little, this is a big mess. Can I live with this? Am I okay living this way? Or is this something I need to liberate myself from, or I need to walk out, or I need to change? Okay. So this discernment that you talk about, Sheila, is extremely important. And if you're asking me, this new era is the discernment of truth. It's the confrontation with untruths, and through that then learning truth and ascending, if you will, upping our vibes, becoming more congruent. Thank you, guys. I would like to close here. I don't want to test your patience, so we went over time today. That's the beauty of just letting things unfold for all of us. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.